Welcome to the Trader's Help Desk online video collection. In this video I'm going to go actually over the futures watch for December 20th, 2012. On the Nasdaq, to me the most important chart right now is the weekly, because we've had a magenta peak that tells me it should pull back to 2742.25. Now yesterday we did see a down day, and it was because on the 1440, when it pulled back to this slow moving average, it was doing so on diverging volume. So right now they're going to test for sellers. Since this is a 1440 and it just started, I cannot read that volume bar. So the next chart I'm going to go to is the 720. Now if you go to the 720, you can see that there was divergence at the top, but the seller's bar is actually very large. So I cannot read this volume bar until 6 o'clock this morning. If the test is non-existent for sellers like it was here, the market will be going up. Now I can also go down to the 180 because it is more information for me to read while I'm waiting on the other bars to develop. You can see that there was a strong divergence on the sellers, and now they're testing for buyers. Again, it depends on this response by the buyers as to whether the market continues down or goes up. Then we're going to go to the euro, and as you can see, yesterday I said that the market would more than likely go down, and it did. And what we're looking for now is what happens at the ATR on the 180. As you can see, as they pulled back to the ATR, the sellers were very, very weak. This indicates a bounce to the upside off of the ATR. You can see as it stands right now, the buyers are increasing. You can also go down to your 45 minute. It is at an ATR now, to determine whether the buyers are going to continue to be strong as they were here, or if you're going to get divergence off of this ATR. We have had the potential for a magenta peak on the 720. If the magenta peak on the 720 holds up, it is going to pull back to the ATR, which is 3122. So it all depends on these testing scenarios that they are doing right now in the market. On the Swiss franc, you have exactly the same scenario. You can see as it pulled back to the ATR, it did so on diverging volume. So now they're testing for buyers. Now on the 180, it looks like they're increasing on the buy-in side. On the 45, they were increasing, but now I have to wait for this bar to form to see if you get divergence right at the ATR on the 45 minute chart. We can also go over to the British pound. The British pound, almost exactly the same scenario. You have a strong divergence right at the ATR, and now buyers are starting to come into the market. Now over on the 45 minute, it has already flipped the ATR. It has given you divergence, and it is the result of the testing on the seller side as to whether this continues up or not. On the British pound, you have not had the magenta peak. So in this scenario, this is an overbought condition. But until we get that magenta peak, we do not expect it to go back to the ATR at 61.48. We then have the Japanese yen. And as I said yesterday, I was expecting upward movement on the Japanese yen. And that was because we did have a magenta peak on the 180. It did go back to the ATR. It's doing diverging volume again. So this is where they're going to have to test for sellers. They tested for sellers here, and as you can see, the sellers were decreasing from previously. That would be expected if this is to go into an uptrend. So now what I would be doing is waiting for a new high to see if the buyers remain in the market. On the 720 Japanese yen, you do have a magenta peak come in. The ATR is at 1.1992, so that's about 70 ticks away. You're already seeing diverging volume here, so I would be looking at the 45-minute to see what the 45-minute could tell me. And right now what it is saying is it's making new highs, is doing so on diverging volume. You're also at a value of 80.3. That tells me we're probably going to get a pullback, and it's going to pull back to around 1891 or 1879 as it stands right now. You also have the potential right now for a magenta peak over on the 1440. So all of these would create uptrends on these smaller time frames, but you have to make sure that the sellers are doing exactly what you see here, and that is they are decreasing. And that is the futures watch for December 20th, 2012. I am doing a separate video on gold because there's some nice patterns on gold right now.